My name is Calestous Juma. I'm a professor at the Harvard Kennedy School, and I've just published this book, Innovation and Its Enemies. I've been working on this book for 16 years. I was inspired to write the book by observing a number of public controversies involving new technologies. These happened to be technologies that had the potential to contribute to economic development or environmental improvement, but also became clear that society was quite skeptical about these new technologies. I wanted to understand a bit better why is it so that in many cases potentially useful technologies end up becoming a subject of significant public debates. And the main message in the book is that people don't resist technologies because they are new. They resist them mostly because they perceive potential loss, whether it's a material loss in terms of income, loss in employment, in some cases loss in identity, where they relate to certain technologies and they see them as being integral to their world. And when new ones come, if they threaten to displace the old ones, you get some pushback to that. So I opened the book by just looking at some of the very well-established technologies that we take for granted. But we look back in history, they have been extremely controversial. So I started the book by talking about the story of coffee, which went through nearly 300 years of debate. I would say coffee was probably more controversial than nuclear power, spanned continents. And fundamentally, wherever coffee was introduced, not only did it compete and displace existing beverages, but it reorganized society and created new forums for exchange that in fact threatened the sources of authority of the rulers, whether it was in Middle East or Turkey or in Europe. And so the book goes through details of how society organizes itself to resist new technologies. And one of the most common methods that I explore in the book is demonizing products. Coffee was one of the earliest products to be demonized. It was called the devil's drink. And in Italy, bishops went over to the Pope at the time and suggested that coffee should be excommunicated from the Christian world. But based on his own wisdom, the Pope Clement VIII sipped some of it and declared that coffee really should be made a Christian drink. And so we've seen in many cases these debates ending up with leading authorities in various societies. So the book covers other topics like the Quran. There was 400 years of opposition to printing of the Quran by the Ottomans. We look at other products, which include margarine, recorded music, tractors, and more recently we look at genetic engineering as another area of major controversy. But the real reason why I wrote the book was to try to relate some of these historical experiences to contemporary debates, in that I see a lot of parallels between these historical cases and the debates we're having today over new products like products and services like artificial intelligence, gene editing, 3D printing, and drones. And so we're having these major debates today that are very similar to the ones we've had over these historical products. And the main message I conclude with in the book is really the need to think about inclusive innovation, in that many people oppose new technologies because they fear loss. And the one way to address the question of loss is to make sure those who are likely to lose from the introduction of new technologies can see the benefits to them. And that creates a really unique opportunity to explore how to take advantage of this abundant scientific and technical knowledge that is growing quite rapidly, and put it to human use in ways that minimize public debates. So I would like to welcome you to explore this book with me, and also to make suggestions on how really to make sure that there is some consistency between the way we make public policies and the way technologies actually advance.